The Last Raven of Wallachia genre. Historical fiction setting. 15th century Romania, Wallachia. During the time of Vlad Gapek, Vlad the Impaler, Part 1. The Black Forest Sikatha. Wind howled through the Carpathians, as if the mountains themselves remembered the blood once spilled among them. In the deep folds of that jagged land, beneath a sky pregnant with storm, a boy of 15 crept through the underbrush, heart hammering like a drum of war. His name was Andrei, son of a miller from the village of Piatronemek. But tonight, he wasn't a miller's son. He was a thief. In his satchel, a scroll stolen from the monastery of Niemp, not for greed, but for truth, because the monks had lied about Vlad, about the war, about the truth behind the man they called the Impaler. Grandfather Mihai had whispered of secret histories before the fever took him. The truth about Vlad is not in the castle or the court, he'd said. It is buried in the Black Monastery, written by the last raven. That night, before the fever claimed him fully, Mihai had given Andrei the name of the scroll and the symbol of a raven inked on his wrist with an old quill. Now that symbol burned against his skin as thunder rolled overhead. Behind him, dogs barked closer than they had been 10 minutes ago. Monastic guards, trained killers, sent by the metropolitan bishop himself to hunt down heretics and thieves. Andrei ran through thorn and root, down toward a narrow ravine where the river Olt cut a silver path through the woods. Lightning lit the sky, and the flash Andrei saw it, a ruined tower, half swallowed by vines. He didn't question it. He dove inside just as a bolt of thunder cracked the world in two. Part 2. The raven's message inside. Darkness, mold, damp stone, and the reek of centuries. Andrei lit a flint torch from his satchel, the light dancing off crumbling walls. And then he saw it, a sigil, carved in the stone above a collapsed doorway. A raven with wings outstretched, clutching a sword in its talons, just like the one on his wrist. He was in the right place. The chamber beyond the door had once been a scriptorium. Shelves lined the walls, most collapsed, but one book remained intact, tucked inside a hollow behind a fallen slab. Leather-bound, sealed in wax, and marked with the raven. He opened it. Inside were words in Latin and Old Romanian, but the hand that had written them trembled with desperation, urgency, and purpose. The ink bled in places, but the message was clear. Vlad was not a tyrant. He was a wall raised between us and the abyss. He knew what we refused to believe, that the Turk would never stop, that traitors wore mitres, that peace was paid for in blood. The scroll told the story of Vlad not as the bloodthirsty monster of Saxon tales, but as a prince abandoned by foreign allies, betrayed by his own boyars, and hunted by both Ottomans and Hungarians. It spoke of his imprisonment, his rage, and his vision for a united Wallachia free of both foreign chains and domestic rot. It ended with this: if you read this, know that truth is a torch. It burns, but it also lights the path. Andrei didn't notice the footsteps behind him until it was too late. Part 3. The bishop's men. He turned just as the first guard lunged. Andrei ducked instinctively, but the second man grabbed him by the shoulder and slammed him into the stone. The scroll fell from his grasp. Thief, one hissed. He's a raven, the other said. Mark on his wrist, just like the old ones. The first guard sneered. Then we burn him. They dragged him from the ruin into the rain, torchlight flickering over their chainmail. But before they could bind him, a third figure emerged from the trees, a woman cloaked in wolf pelts, eyes glinting like firelight on steel. She said nothing, just fired. The arrow struck the first guard in the throat. The second turned, sword raised, but she was faster. A flash of her blade, and he dropped. Andrei stared in shock. She pulled back her hood. Come, she said. Before more come. Who are you? He asked. Tammered. She didn't answer, just snatched the scroll and led him into the woods. Part 4. The Order of the Raven. Her name was Ilinka, daughter of a voivode executed by the Bojars, a survivor of the Turkish raids, and the last living member of the Ordinal Korbaluitha. Order of the Raven. Founded in 1448 by Vlad's most loyal spies and scribes. The order had gone underground after Vlad's final death. Their mission: to preserve the truth, protect the legacy, and wait for a time when the real story could be told. Ilinka led Andrei to a hidden monastery, carved into the cliffs above the old valley. Their monks and warriors trained in secret. Some were defectors from the Ottoman courts. Others were peasants who had seen their families butchered and wanted to fight with knowledge, not just steel. Andrei spent weeks there learning. He read scrolls older than the principality itself, letters written by Vlad to Stephen the Great of Moldavia, treatises on torture not to glorify it, but to understand how fear was used as defense, and poems written by Vlad's sister, Maria, who had escaped the Hungarian court. He began to see the story differently. Vlad was not Dracula, the monster. He was Dracula, the son of the dragon, a man raised in the crucible of Ottoman captivity, schooled in pain and power. A man who returned to a broken kingdom and tried to forge unity out of fear. And like all visionaries, he was devoured by the very people he tried to save. But Alinka's warning was clear. Knowing the truth is not enough, she said. We must free it. Part 5. The scroll and break of the plan was simple and suicidal. Brasov, in Transylvania, was the heart of Saxon power. The same merchants and scribes who had spread the most grotesque stories of Vlad in exchange for Hungarian gold. If the Raven Scroll could be published there, copied and smuggled into the cities of Europe, the myth could be broken. Andrei would go, disguised as a traveling scholar. The scroll would be hidden in his pack, along with forged papers. Ilinka would cover his retreat. He made it as far as the market square. Then came the Inquisitor, a Hungarian bishop with eyes like cold iron and a mouth that never smiled. He had been hunting Raven loyalists for decades. Andrei saw him too late, but Ilinka did in single quotes t. She drew her bow from the shadows and fired. Andrei ran as chaos erupted. They reached the edge of the city before a crossbow bolt struck Ilinka in the ribs. She fell, gasping, blood pooling fast. He wanted to stay, but she shoved the scroll into his hands. Go. No. If you stay, everything dies. Tears blurred his vision. She touched his face. Burn the lies. Let the truth fly. Like a raven in storm. And then she was gone. Part 6. The truth awakens. Andrei didn't stop. He ran across the Transylvanian plain, stole a horse, bribed a smuggler, and reached the printing press of a Dutch monk near Cluj. The monk had once been a soldier. He understood war and truth. They copied the scroll. Dozens, then hundreds. Within a month, the Raven letters were spreading from Alba Iulia to Vienna, from Krakow to Venice. Scholars debated them. Nobles burned them. Priests denounced them. But the people read them, and for the first time, Vlad was more than a butcher. He was a man, a a patriot, a flame in the dark. Part 7. The return to Walikie's past. Andrei returned home, older, wiser, bearing a name whispered in secret, the last Raven. He rebuilt the ruined monastery where he had found the scroll. There, students came, writers, thinkers, dreamers. They copied the letters, translated them, spoke of unity of a land not torn between Hungarian, Ottomans, or Saxon greed, but of Romania, a single name, a single people. And in 1859, long after Andrei's bones had turned to dust, that dream began to stir in the real world. To principalities Wallachia and Moldavia joined, and the echoes of the Raven's cry could be heard in the speeches of their leaders. Final words, the torch and the flame. The Romanian Academy today. Behind glass lies a single scroll, leather-bound, sealed with wax. The last page reads, "A man is not what his enemies say, he is what he endures." Vlad Dracula endured exile, prison, betrayal, and still he rose. Not because he was a tyrant, but because he believed this land was worth the cost. If you read this, you are now the torch. Burn the lies, and light the way. The last Raven of Wallachia.